How we doing, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast. Tonight's episode is called Point Gods. It's our all-time rankings for floor generals. With me, my great friend, Mr. Brett Bandick. How you doing, boss?
I'm good, baby. I'm ready to roll. Let's do this.
Yeah, we're basically doing an all-time point guards assessment. We're not gonna hit you with like rankings off the top. We are basically just going to whip up a name and we're going to speak on the player. And as we go along, we're going to find out where we rank these guys. I have a guy that I think is pretty relevant to today's times that we're going to start with. Steph Curry. All right, Bretsky. Four-time NBA champ. The face of the Golden State Warriors. A player who changed the trajectory of that organization.
Yeah. I would put him at a three at the highest, but possibly four. But I would go three. I would go three with him.
I've actually gonna agree with you. I've gotten to the point where I feel that he has to be three now. I've said it on previous shows. I consider him a tweener. But when I consider that the way the Golden State offense flows through him, yes, he is the point guard. There's only two people that I put ahead of him that I'll reveal later. But I think it's a strong pick at three. But talk about Steph. What do you think about his game in general?
Well, I mean, his ball handling skills are just by far probably the best in the game. In today's game. But his shooting ability, I mean, he surpassed Ray Allen. He probably has the best, how do I put it? Not shooting ability, but he is literally the best shooter in the league. Hands down, bar none, best shooter in the league for the past probably 10, 15 years. He's the best shooter in the league.
He hasn't been in the league 15 years, but I get what you're saying.
But I'm just rounding off. But it's just it feels like I've been watching him for forever. You know, like
you probably got introduced to him when he was still playing at Davidson.
Oh yeah, I did. You know, I mean, the whole Final Four experience. I mean, I've watched him grow up into a basketball player that he is now. It's fun to watch and to see him grow as a player and become one of the best shooters, if not the best shooter in the league today, is awesome. And I'm privileged to watch it. And I'm going to put him up there. He's definitely three, the highest three, but possibly four.
I don't consider him the best shooter in the league. I consider him the best 3-point shooter of all time. I actually view him as literally the best 3-point shooter of all time. But when I think of best shooter, there's one particular player that's not even a point guard that I would put out above him. That's actually his former teammate, Kevin Durant. Because I feel that anything inside of two, Durant is more consistent than damn near anybody. But if we're talking specifically the 3-point game, yes, that's Steph.
I think Durant is the best, how do I put it, scorer.
Yeah, he's the best pure scorer in the NBA.
Yeah, he's the best
agree with that.
Pure scorer. But I think Steph is still the best shooter in the NBA. And that means he can hit from any level of the basketball court. I mean, his stroke is just, I mean, it's clutch. Yeah, I don't think you can compete with it right now.
Well,
nobody in today's game can compete with the way that Steph shoots. Sorry.
Well, we both kind of agree that he is number 3 on our list all time. What exactly do you think it would take for him to even be higher than that and be the best of all time, or is that even possible?
It is possible. I mean, if he can possibly win one more championship and a Finals MVP, then I would definitely put him at number one. Actually,
Um,
I would put him at number one because number one that would make him 5 championships with Magic. And if he gets another Finals MVP, then that, in my opinion, that will solidify him as the best point guard in the NBA all time. And he can do
I'm
it.
gonna just say, I'm gonna say that your reasoning I don't agree with. I don't think just winning another championship makes him better than Magic Johnson. But we'll talk about Magic in a little while. I'm just going to say I respectfully disagray. When we get to Magic, I'll maybe drive that point a little more. Got another point guard for you. Just bear with me. All right. This guy had quite a career. New Jersey Nets, drafted by the Mavericks originally, went back to the Mavericks later in his career to win a championship. Finished his career as a member of the New York Knicks, and in one season basically made them a championship contender with the help of Amare Stoudemire, Carmelo Anthony, and Tyson Chandler. Jason Kidd. Cool little Jason Kidd story. He was actually mentored by Gary Payton when he was younger and actually played for Gary Payton's father when he was a youth basketball player. I think that's kind of cool. What are your thoughts just overall on his game? What did he do great? What did he do good? And we'll say where he lies on your rankings towards the end of our assessment of the player.
I mean, he was a great passer, number one.
For sure.
Great passer. He managed his game very well. And, he made free throws when he had to, with the.
Yeah, he did that in New Jersey. I remember that.
Kid, that was his thing. But he was later in his career, he became a game manager, and he was almost like a Chris Paul. He just knew when he had to distribute the ball, and he also knew when he had to take over a game. I'll put him 10. I'll put him in a 10 at the moment.
All right. My assessment on J. Kidd, I think the biggest thing that he improved over the course of his career, when he came into the league, he was a horrible shooter. Horrible. I mean, the dude used to just build brick houses, like literally. The guy could not shoot when he first came up into the league. I also think there was a legitimate immaturity because I remember when he was a member of the Mavericks as a young guy alongside Jamal Mashburn, for instance, just a lot of immaturity. And I don't think he was ready to have the responsibility of taking over a team and being a face of a franchise. He played in Phoenix alongside Penny Hardaway when Penny Hardaway was still playing at a high level. That was an interesting backcourt.
Yep.
But and then Steph got traded to Phoenix and Kidd went over there. Kidd went over to New Jersey, formerly New Jersey Nets, now Brooklyn. But he took the New Jersey Nets to their first 2 NBA finals.
Yeah.
Has to be the most unlucky SOB when you take into consideration that he ran into Kobe and Shaq's Lakers, as well as Duncan and Robinson's Spurs. 2 consecutive years. It doesn't get much more unfair or much tougher than that. But when I think about Jason Kidd and when I think about his career-defining moment, beating the Miami Heat in the first year of the LeBron James era. Now, this was a Dallas team that had lost a championship to Miami before LeBron was there. And a lot of people feel like Dallas was the better team that year. Nobody thought that Dallas had a chance in that series. And basically basketball IQ, vet leadership, and just flat out desire to win outweighed pure talent because Miami was the better team. And that was Dirk Nowitzki's lone championship as well as Jason Kidd's. And I think that is like what solidified him as a true all-time great. I'm going to have him, let's see, where am I going to put him? For the time being, I'm going to give Jason Kidd a rank of 7. And as the show goes along, if I choose to change that, I will, because, we still have to weigh other players. But I'm just going to type this in for now. Brett has him 10th.
Mm-hmm.
Richie has him 7th all time. I like the way the flow of this is going. Next point guard on. Yeah, I like it. Next point guard on the brain. I'm going to go a guy that I mentioned just a few moments ago. I'm talking about the glove, Mr. Gary Payton. This dude was awesome. The aforementioned Miami Heat team that I had mentioned that beat the Dallas team that Dirk was on. No, Kidd was not on that team. Gary Payton got his lone championship as a member of the Miami Heat. For those that maybe don't remember, that was the Miami Heat team that was led by Dwayne Wade, as Shaquille O'Neal basically gave Dwayne Wade the reins. Pat Riley coached that team. He replaced Stan Van Gundy. It was Shaq as the number 2, essentially. D. Wade was the franchise player at that point. And you got some cool contributions from a lot of different players, Gary Payton being one of them, along with White Chocolate, Jason Williams. They also had Udonis Haslem on that team. Yes, they did have Udonis Haslem on that team, as well as, who am I missing here? Oh, Alonzo Mourning made a return. Alonzo was a fixture for Miami in the 90s. He comes back as a role player in the mid-2000s and comes up big, helps him win a championship. Gary Payton, where his bread and butter was of his career, was the Seattle Supersonics. He and Sean Kemp, Detlef Schrempf, some phenomenal teams. Made the finals once.
Sam Perkins.
Made the finals once.
You had, they were a solid team. They were really solid.
Made the finals once against Michael Jordan's Bulls. They lost in 6 tough, hard-fought games. But failed attempt at winning one with the Lakers. I think that's what made his Miami time basically so sweet. He has a son that currently plays in the NBA with the Golden State Warriors with Steph Curry. What are your thoughts on him as a player? Just overall body of work. What do you think about Gary Payton, his strengths?
As a player, I mean, he was known as a glove. He was a defensive player at first. When he needed to score, yes, he can score. But can he score at will? No. He was known for his defense. He was known for stealing the ball, disrupting, the play of offense. He was that dude. As far as top 10 goes with him, I'll put him at 9. And it sucks because, once again, he's one of those dudes that played in the Jordan era, and he played against Jordan in the finals and Pippen in the finals. It just sucks because, how many players that we talk about that make an all-time list that play against Jordan in the finals or in the playoffs, regardless. God, there was that one year you mentioned, the Sonics lost in the first round to Denver. They're the best team in the league.
And you talk about Jordan. Jordan was in the league that year.
I know, man. And they lost the first round.
But he did get his ring with Miami.
They did, yeah, but not in his prime. He was not in his prime.
He got his ring.
He got his ring. But was he the main guy? Was he the glove when he was in Miami? No, Absolutely not.
He was a contributor, Brett. He got his
He,
ring.
he was a bench player. Yes, you're right. He was a role player. Yes, but with the Sonics and him being the lead guy, the glove, it sucks, man. Like I don't want to. How do I put it? I don't want to discredit him for what he's done.
He was a
Granted, he
key
doesn't.
contributor to that Miami team. He was a
No,
key contributor to that championship.
and to this day, every role player that is with Miami, yes, they contribute as well. Hence them being in the finals. But is he the guy? Is he the glove? No, absolutely not. Was he the glove
But
when
Brett,
Miami won it? No, no, he was not.
that was never a question. You're making a question out of one that wasn't asked. I never asked you if he was that guy. I said he got his ring.
Yeah,
He
he did
contributed. He got his ring. He didn't watch it from the bench. He contributed. Alonzo Mourning wasn't a starter on that team. He came up huge.
He's at 9 on my list. He's at number 9.
And I'm going to put him in
at
at 10th.
That's if he's lucky. But yeah, number 9.
He's 10th on mine. He has to make my top 10 specifically because of the fact that he was that dominant during his prime on the defensive side of the ball. And I saw a competitive side of him during that finals loss to Michael Jordan's Bulls that I gained a lot of respect for him and realized this guy is really good. Because a lot of people talk Shawn Kemp. He was the best player on those Sonics teams. It wasn't Shawn Kemp. It was Gary Payton. And to your point about him not being a score at will guy, he was a two-way player in the sense that his defense opened up his offense.
Hmm?
And in that regard, he was an elite defender. And another reason why I believe that he belongs on the top 10 list is because he shares a record with Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan for the most defensive first team awards in NBA history. And when you think that you're sharing a record with Kobe and Mike, yeah, you have definitely got your place in history. Next point guard we're going to hit on. This should be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Isaiah Thomas. Bad Boy Pistons, floor general. In my opinion, a top 3 all-time college player. Everybody talks about Michael Jordan's nemesis as being the Knicks and players on the Knicks and players on the Pacers. This is pre-Jordan running the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Isaiah Thomas, to his credit, something that I have to give him credit for. He's the only guy that could really say, I beat Larry Bird in a series. I beat Magic Johnson in a series. I beat Michael Jordan in a series. Nobody else could say that.
So where do you put him?
I'm going to get there. I want to talk about his game first. What I loved about him is that for a short guy, he played big. And what I mean by that is that he was never afraid to mix it up. He brought a tenacity with speed that I think really helped him. And he had a hell of a baseline shot that could frustrate people because of the fact that he played a lot under the rim. Like when you're smaller, you have to be creative on how you're going to beat the defense to the rim because you're not necessarily going to dunk over them. You're not necessarily going to power over them. You got to beat them with speed. And Isaiah did that rather well. Isaiah was also a top flight defender. He gave up quite a bit of height to guys that he would be assigned to at times, guys like Mike, guys like Magic, and always did more than just hold his own. I think it was kind of a political decision that he didn't get to be a member of the 92 Dream Team. Regardless of who got along with him or not, I don't think that was right. No disrespect to John Stockton, but Isaiah Thomas was better, and Isaiah Thomas deserved to be there. Two-time NBA champion, one-time Finals MVP. He did make the Finals 3 consecutive years, winning 2 of those. I got him as the second greatest point guard in the history of this league, and I think it's well deserved. Just the sheer fact spit about having series victories over Magic, Michael, and Bird on some people's list. Those are the 3 best players ever in terms of the modern era. So, yes, second on Richie's list. Where do you rank him, and what do you want to add to anything that I already had mentioned about the guy?
I'm going to put him at 4th.
Ooh.
I'm going to put him right below Steph Curry.
Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh, it is what it is. The only reason why, and this is, I'm trying to be as honest as I can here. His sportsmanship.
Mm-hmm.
That's what threw me off about him. The way that the whole Pistons team walked off when the Bulls beat them, kind of that put me in the wrong. It threw me off. Which is why today I think him and Jordan are not speaking to today because of that walk off.
It's a little more than that. It's a little more than that.
I'm pretty sure it is. I don't know the full detail. But that completely threw me off. Especially after they won. You got to have some kind of respect, and they didn't show it. And it all starts with him because he was the leader. I'm not gonna go for that. I always thought he was a dirty player, along with the whole Pistons team. Lambier, Dumars himself, Rodman. They were just a dirty team. Hence, Bad Boys Pistons. They were dirty as hell. I just that's my opinion. But I'm gonna put him at 4. I'm putting him below Steph.
I do want to piggyback off of that point about walking off the court. While I agree, I don't condone that kind of behavior. One point that was made in The Last Dance from Isaiah was when the Celtics lost to the Pistons.
I know.
They also left the court in the same manner.
I know.
Once again, not saying it's right, but to just kind of give you a devil's advocate perspective on this. I know that you're a diehard New England Patriots fan. More than a handful of times, we've seen Tom Brady walk off the court like that. Walk off the field like that, I should say, not the court. I don't think that's necessarily changed your opinion about Tom, but at the same time, there's a lot more heat with Isaiah for a lot of other reasons. It's not just that one thing. He made some very controversial comments about Larry Bird that were stupid, for lack of a better word. And I'll be honest with you. I'm not a big fan of Isaiah Thomas's character, but I am quite the fan of his game. And the reason I have him at 2 is because there's only one point guard that I could possibly put ahead of him, who I will mention in a little bit. And I know a lot of people put Stockton high. I'll speak on him shortly. I think John Stockton, while being a phenomenal assist man and a phenomenal defender in his own right, I feel that John Stockton is a little overrated when people talk about his offensive game. I think his offensive game was a little wishy-washy at times. Isaiah was always bringing it on offense. But I do get your point about what you're saying. So Isaiah Thomas is second on my list, 4th on Brett's list. And since I already mentioned John, why not go speak on him now? John Stockton, all-time NBA assist leader.
And steals.
Yes, sir. And steals. 0 for 2 in the NBA Finals. Some people feel that those two particular Jazz teams were actually the toughest challenge in the finals for Mike and Scotty's Bulls. For the most part, I actually do agree with that. I actually do agree with that, especially the second Utah team. But what are your thoughts on John's game? What do you think about him? And end it off with where you rank him.
This is what I love about John. Nobody recognized him. He's a legend in his own mind. But when he was on the 92 Dream Team, nobody knew who he was.
Yeah, he does kind of have that regular dude look.
Wear a regular T-shirt,
Nobody had an idea.
khaki shorts, Nikes, Air Jordan Nikes, and nobody would know who he was. He'd be with his family. Nobody knew who he was.
It makes sense. It's kind of believable.
And he was completely okay with that. But he, he was a top point guard for almost 10 years. He was with a mailman. That's give and go all day long. They made the playoffs a lot. And when they did make it over the hump, they couldn't get past the Bulls. But it seems like they were in the playoffs almost every year.
They held back Kobe and Shaq from winning in the beginning.
It seems like they were in the playoffs
before Phil got there, Utah always beat the Lakers.
Yeah, man. And it was fun watching them, but it was it's like the only and I hate to say this, but it seems like the only black guy on the court was the mailman. Everybody else was white. And when you were going to play in Utah, you were going against those white guys. You had Ostertag. You know what I mean? It was just weird watching. But they made it.
I will admit that there were more white guys on Utah than probably on the roster.
Yeah, the whole team. Team.
Yeah, Jeff Hornacek.
Yeah, I love watching Jeff Hornacek.
I'll be honest. I never enjoyed watching the Utah Jazz. I found them to be.
I never did either. But they were
very boring. But they were good.
So fundamentally sound. It was like watching San Antonio.
Another team that has bored me. But yes, good team.
Yeah, good team. But they were so this fundamentally sound. They were so bored watching. And I get it. But and they won. Well, not the Jazz, but the Spurs did. But no, I get it. John Stockton all the way. I think I put him 6. All right, am I 6?
You got John Stockton at 6?
Yeah, I'm gonna put him at 6.
I'm mind blown. When you backed Isaiah to 4, I said, "Oh, that means he's got him at 2nd." I'm over here thinking you're going to tell me he's the second best point guard. I really thought you were going that route.
Nope. I got somebody else in mind.
Brett has him 6th. Let me give this an honest thought for a second here. You know what? I'm actually comfortable with putting him at 6 myself. And if I change my mind, you'll know about it.
Well, sounds good to me.
All right.
What else we got, baby?
Chris Paul.
Oh man, I'm so up and down with him.
Well, I think a lot of the last few years is bringing him down somewhat. I have very strict views on where I rank him.
I think the last few years have brought him up.
Oh, I don't think so.
I do. Number one, the age factor. It's just, oh man, it's so hard with him. He's still top 10 in my book. I'm gonna put him at 7. I'm gonna go 7 with him. I mean, he's the captain. He just manages everything on the court. Everybody knows he's a veteran. And his defensive part is still there. I just don't think he's willing to take that last shot anymore. He was, a few years ago, but I don't think he's the guy that wants to take the last shot and try to win the game. I think he wants to
Brett,
pass it. What?
I don't mean to be disrespectful to him, but to be quite honest, I think he's been washed since they lost to the Bucks. Washed. I think he's done. Here and now, I think he's done.
Well,
I think these last couple of years have actually hurt his case as being a top 10 point guard. But you said you have him at, what do you have him at, 7th?
7.
I'm going to give him a ranking of 10, and that's me being nice.
Fair enough.
All right, moving it along. Tony Parker.
Wow. Oh, I'm so up in the air with this right now.
I don't think there's much to be up in the air about.
No, I mean, I can put him at 8, but just to have him in the top 10. He's a 4-time world champion. Clutch moments with Tim Duncan, Ginobili. I'm gonna play a safe route and put him at 8.
Anything you want to speak about on his game?
How do I put it? He was very safe. Very safe. I mean, that's my personal opinion of him. I mean, yeah, there were times when he, would drive the ball in the paint, but, he was more of a, clock manager, distributing the ball, and when he had to make the shots, he would do it. But I don't think he was the kind of killer that you would want in the last 2 minutes of the game. That's my honest opinion of him.
I respectfully disagree with your assessment on him. I saw him as a guy who usually did not shy away from those big moments. I also saw him as a guy similar to Isaiah Thomas who would beat you with speed. I actually think that Tony Parker is sorely, sorely underrated. I'm going to put him. I'm ranking him at number 10. You know what's funny? I give him a lower rating than you, but I talked higher about his game.
Yeah, you talked higher about him, yeah.
There's reasons why I have him at 10th, because we have to pay homage to the past as well.
Mm-hmm.
I got one for you here.
Hit me.
Bob Cousy.
Mm.
60s Celtics. 60s Celtics. You know, everybody talks about Bill Russell. Very rarely do we talk about Bob Cousy. Bob Cousy was the floor general of that era. The rules were a lot different back then. It was actually a lot harder to dribble back then too, because there were different rules. The rules were vastly different. This is the pre 3-point era.
Right.
But you're talking about the floor general with the exception of the New York Yankees, the second most successful run of any franchise in any sport. It's the Boston Celtics after the Yankees, and this is a huge chunk of that success with the Cousy Russell era. Phenomenal shooter, silky smooth shooter. The man didn't miss. The man didn't miss when he's at the line. Fundamentally sound through and through. And to be fair, I know a lot of people are like, oh, they don't add up to the athletes. I don't know about that. I think when you think about all of it, I think for his time, he was right on time. And I think he was a phenomenal athlete when you really weigh it, the era that he played in.
I will consider him a honorable mention. I don't. Yeah. This is my list. I'll have him at least 11 or 12. You know, it's weird because I don't. Yes, I'm a big history buff, and it's a different era, but I never actually saw the man play or saw any highlights of him. Because it's so limited. So I really can't make a judgment on this at the time.
Well, this is
I
the
mean,
thing.
you know what I mean? Like it's weird, dude. You know what I mean? Like
This is the thing. This thing. He played on the same team as Bill Russell.
mhm.
And this is what I mean about media narratives. Why do you feel so, how would I say, familiar with Bill Russell, but not familiar with his point guard? They were on the same teams.
Oh, I know. Dude, I
I
know.
get it.
Like I said, dude, I can't like. It's weird with me. Like I would much rather have a little bit of more knowledge of Cousy before I would like to make this assessment of him. Like I would love to see more highlights and know a little more history of him. But at the time, I don't know that much about him. So
Well, I'm gonna tell you this.
I
I'm gonna tell you this. If you intend on making a comeback in 2K, you better get to know this guy. This guy's amazing.
yeah.
On my list, I got him as the fourth
Go ahead.
greatest point guard in NBA history.
Fourth, okay.
Yeah, I got him at number 4. Brett has him on honorable mention. This is going to alter how some of this list goes, which is going to be interesting. Next player, a few years after Bob Cousy, different decade, but not far after him. New York Knicks point guard Walt Clyde Frazier, the voice of the New York Knicks as well as he covers the Knicks games. To put his importance in perspective to me, yes, it's before my time. I've never seen the New York Knicks win a championship. And that guy's jersey that's right behind me, on most people's list, is the greatest Knick of all time, although he never won a championship. This dude right here is, by all accounts, the second greatest Knick of all time. And to be honest with you, he's number 1 on some people's list. And he is a champion 2 times over, defeating Jerry West and Wilt Chamberlain's Los Angeles Lakers in 1970, as well as 1973. Who do I compare him to out of players now to kind of make a bit of a bridge? I would, or even get some of the guys on this list. I would have to say that offensively, you can probably compare him to Zeke, Isaiah Thomas to a level. I do think that there's some correlation between the two kind of games that those guys played. Not a great 3-point shooter, but a good one, or I should say from deep range, a good one. Because there were parts of the career there no 3-pointers. But the point I'm making, couldn't shoot from range, speed, excellent first step, and quite frankly, was always able to get the ball where it needed to go. He led the Knicks to 2 championships over Wilt Chamberlain and Jerry West. On the all-time list, just bear with me. I'm kind of combing through my previous rankings to make sure I don't put him on a number where somebody else already landed. Sorry. I'm going to put Walt as the 9th best point guard of all time.
Do you have my list up? I'm sorry.
Got him 9th on my list. You've got Gary Payton at 9.
Mm-hmm.
I've got Gary Payton at 10. Actually, wait a minute. I just noticed a boo-boo here.
And you were high praising him.
No, I put 2 guys at 10. I need to correct this. Gary Payton 9. I'm gonna move Gary Payton up 2 slots. Gary Payton is 8th on my list.
2 slots. Okay. Who do I have at 10? I know I'm being a pain in the ass. I'm sorry.
You can see this on your side, right? Oh, you were using your phone. Never mind.
I'm using my phone.
Gary Payton is 8th on yours. I don't think you ranked anybody at 10 yet. You put Cousy at you put Cousy on honorable mention.
I put Cousy on honorable mention.
You haven't named anybody at 10 yet.
I'll put Walt at 10.
You're putting Walt at 10.
Yeah.
All right. So you got Walt Frazier ahead of Bob Cousy. That'll help me.
What else you got? What else you got? Oh, come on. Come on. Is this really debate?
It's a point guard show. I hope you didn't think I was
really a debate.
I hope you didn't think I wasn't gonna.
Come on, man. Come on. Come on. He's number one by all means. By all means.
I'll tell you why he's number one. I'll let you go. You tell me why he's number one, then I'm going to tell you why I agree.
Couple things. Number one, I mean, obviously you throw in the 5 championships. Number two, he can literally play 4 out of the 5 positions on the court.
5 out of the 5.
I'm sorry. Yeah, right. 5. He did play 5. Number 3, this man dominated the game. I mean, whether it be, and he was willing to take, not score any points and throw up 20 assists and 10 rebounds. You know what I mean? Like he was just a walking triple-double before it became a triple-double. And I am complete agreement with you about Magic being the number 1 point guard in the league of all time. All time. It's
okay.
Like I got nothing else, man.
I'm gonna,
The guy's a legend.
I got plenty. I'm going to tell
Yeah,
you why he's the greatest point guard of all time. Number one, he and Larry Bird were the two people that saved this league. That's number one. Michael made it global. Yes, he did. But Bird and Magic actually saved it. I think his impact for the league in that regard is actually stronger than Mike's because he saved the league. Jordan isn't taking it global if the league wasn't saved by these two men. A disappointment of mine, obviously, he contracted the HIV virus, which I think cheated NBA fans out of seeing him and Michael Jordan play a lot more. He did make a brief comeback in '96 with the Lakers, and then he re-retired again. If he would have hung out with the Lakers one more year, he actually would have played with Shaq and Kobe. That would have been something. That would have been cool. I think the key defining point of this man and his game is that I think more so than any other player in league history, no other player did a better job of making those around him better than this guy right here. That doesn't mean he's the greatest player. That doesn't mean he's the greatest scorer. That's there are people that do think he's the greatest basketball player that ever lived and not Mike. It might be a small minority, but some people are still on that. Magic was the face of the league before Mike, and he had a short career. In 12 years, 5 NBA titles, 9 finals appearances, 3 finals MVPs, and he retired prematurely, and even prematurely left the NBA as the all-time assist leader. That is phenomenal. You know how many years it took John Stockton to break that record? Unbelievable. Yeah. Dream teamer, All-Star Game MVP, the only NBA All-Star Game MVP when he wasn't a member of the league.
Yeah.
He was invited to play in that game, and he lit it up.
I remember. Him and Jordan faced that.
The one thing that Isaiah has over him, Magic could say, yeah, I beat Isaiah, and yeah, I beat Bird. But he didn't beat Mike. And Magic Johnson is my favorite player of all time. Yes, I am a Knicks fan. But he is the reason why I cared about basketball to begin with. So needless to say, seeing Mike beat him as a young guy, I was pissed. Finding out that he retired a week later, I was more pissed because I genuinely believe that the Lakers would have reloaded and given Magic a little more help. And I think you would have, instead of some of these other teams that played the Bulls, I think you would have been seeing more of the Lakers. But It is what it is. It wasn't meant to be. If we're doing an all-time legends thing, he is a top 3 basketball player as far as I'm concerned. And no knock on the great Steph Curry, but no disrespect to him. I think Magic played the game in a different kind of impactful way that even if Steph wins another one, maybe even if Steph wins 2 more, I still think this guy will always be the king of point guards. Just my opinion. And his impact as a rookie, dude. To win finals MVP as a rookie? Who does that? Magic Johnson does that. Nobody does that but Magic. I just wish that we could get a time machine and just put it together. I would give anything to see the Showtime Lakers and the 90s Bulls. And I mentioned this on a show not too long ago. That on a Jordan commercial, he showed off all the bling of the rings and he called the Lakers Showtime. Mike, you're iconic, you're phenomenal, you're a lot of things. But you didn't beat Showtime because I didn't see Kareem there. That was not Showtime. That was slow time. That's when the Lakers were old. That was slow time. That wasn't Showtime.
This is why we play NBA 2K, man. This is why we.
But one thing we could probably agree on, though. One thing we could probably agree on is, I think in Jordan's case, maybe even in Magic's case, I think one commonality is that timing is so key in when you win.
Yeah.
I had said it on previous shows that when Mike won with the Bulls, Magic, Bird were out of the league within 2 years, one apart from each other. Because when Magic retired, Larry had nothing to play for.
No, his
obsessed.
back and his knees were done.
He was obsessed with Magic Johnson. And one of the most beautiful things I ever saw on a basketball court, and I do have to make a mention of this, when that season started, and it was the first time Larry Bird played in the league without Magic, he did something to honor his guy. And Larry Bird was a lot of things, but he was not flashy. He literally did the signature Magic Johnson behind the back pass that was just like dirty and perfect. And I guess that was his way of saying, I miss you, buddy. Because you got to understand that when Magic left the league, it wasn't just about retiring. A lot of people thought he was going to die because the AIDS epidemic was not under control.
Yeah.
It is now. People can live the course of their lives with the HIV virus. When Magic Johnson contracted the virus, not too many people thought that he would still be here on Earth and still being just a massive influence on so many.
I'm gonna say this is to you, to all the fans. We've had, Rich and I are 40 plus years old. We've seen a lot of history in the league. We watched Magic, Bird, Jordan, Shaq in his prime, Kobe.
Yeah, we're lucky. We're lucky.
Now Steph, now LeBron. We've seen Payton.
Shit, we even saw Penny and
Grant Hill. Drew Brees.
That didn't play long enough. We saw Penny.
I don't think the fans truly realize how blessed we are to see all these Hall of Famers / legends in a matter of 20 years, 20 plus years. And, we'll sit here and bust chops all day long about LeBron, about Michael, about Bird, about Magic.
We got to see them all, though.
But at the end of the day, we got to see them play. We got to see them make magic happen. We got to see them compete. We got to see them make memories happen. And I am so blessed that we got to see all of this happen in my lifetime. And I hope the fans, any viewers watching, I hope you guys really appreciate what you guys are dealing with right now. I mean, I have no words for what anybody's witnessing. And it's just, I'm truly blessed. I really am. From the day I was born until now, out of all the sports legends and the memories and Jesus, there's so much history here. And I
have one last.
I know. I just truly hope everybody can appreciate and enjoy what the sports world has brought us the past 40 years.
I got to. You left Bob Cousy off your list.
I did,
which is cool. Which is all right for one reason. I have such a high opinion of this player's prime that I am willing to say that he would have been the greatest point guard of all time were he not to succumb to injury so early in his career. And Brett, I purposely put 10 guys up here because I figured everybody was going to make the top 10. And that's okay. You're entitled to your opinion.
Yeah. You missed one name.
Penny Hardaway. Is he replacing Cousy?
No.
Prime Penny. Little Penny times.
No.
Well, you were not able to figure out. You have a few minutes. Who's making your list that we didn't talk about? Who's making this list for you? And I do want to speak on Penny while you think about this. Penny Hardaway, we talk about memories and we talk about what ifs. He's one of the greatest what ifs in NBA history.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player that ever lived, okay, just to put it in perspective. And when Michael Jordan is wearing your shoe, Penny had the court vision of magic. He had a comparable athleticism to guys like Mike, guys like Vinsanity. He did have a comparable athleticism. Sadly, with the knee injuries and with the divorce of he and Shaq way too early, even in Phoenix, he started to decline. Still a good player, but my God, 1994 to 1996, those 3 particular seasons, everybody loved Penny Hardaway, and it didn't matter who you rooted for. He was super impactful. And I mean, even now, when you see him pop up on interviews and you have Hall of Fame players, they are still in awe of him. That's the kind of respect that he garners many years later, even though he wasn't on top for long. This guy was special.
Oh, yeah. You had Chris Rock playing Little Penny.
Yeah. This guy was special. And he does have a feather in his cap. He did beat Michael Jordan once.
Before we log off, I didn't give you my number 2.
Yeah, you did not. So who we grabbing out of the sky here?
Oscar Robertson.
Yes!
He's my number 2. Bottom line.
Good for you. Good for you for 2 reasons. Number 1 is I legitimately forgot about Oscar Robertson, and I'm a little embarrassed to admit that. Milwaukee Bucks, Lou Alcindor, he was his point guard. So now I got to be honest with myself, and I got to say who's going to get bounced off my list, because Oscar is not. Oh boy, who is my number 5?
You got to bounce a couple people down there. Good, shift that line down. Let's shift it up.
I'm actually looking to see who I had ranked at 5, and for some reason, I'm noticing that I didn't have anybody ranked at 5. Oscar Robertson just became my number 5 point guard, and it still works out because that was the one number I was at 5. Absolutely, at 5, yes.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Number 5. Okay.
I went from forgetting about him to putting him at number 5 because some people. I'll be honest with you. Prior to Steph Curry being in the league, some people consider him the second greatest point guard behind Magic Johnson.
Yeah, I know. I put him at 3 or possibly 4.
Some people will put Isaiah at 4, and some people will put him at 2. Some people put Curry at 4. Similar to the same reason why we're going to put Bill Russell in a GOAT debate and put him in the top 5 or the top 7 or the top 10 or whatever, is the same reason why I put Cousy where I put him. It's the rings. But Oscar Robertson did win with Lou Alcindor, now Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And to put in perspective how special that was, Milwaukee didn't get back to that mountaintop up until about a year or so ago with Giannis.
Yep.
And the crazy shit is our good friend John Olsen could actually say that he's seen them both. That's wild, right?
That's crazy, man.
50 years apart. 50 years apart. He could say that he saw them both.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
But he's the kind of guy.
Thank you for.
No, go ahead.
Thank you for pulling him out. No. I'm just want to say thank you for reminding me, because it was the weirdest thing. I'm doing this show, and I keep saying to myself, I feel like I'm forgetting something that's very important. And obviously, yeah, right. And you brought that to me, and I don't know where you grabbed it from, but I'm glad you did.
That's what I'm here for, baby.
Good show tonight, Brett. This was fun.
I'm ready to do some more, baby. I'm ready to do some more. Whatever you got, lay it on me. I
still don't agree with you about kicking my man Cousy out, but that's all good. For Brett, I am your host, Richie. We had a pleasure.